I request CA Shravan Gurutur, Chairman, Bangalore branch of SIRC of ICAI, to escort our esteemed speaker, Shri RG Mardhur, onto the dais and welcome him with a floral bouquet. Ladies and gentlemen, Mardhur Arts is the main event sponsor for this 15th Karnataka State Level CA's Conference. Welcome, sir. Over to you, sir.
A very good afternoon to one and all present here in the room. I am RG Mardhur from Mardhur Arts, the sponsors of the 15th Karnataka State Level CS Conference. Before I begin with the technical session of the alternate investments available in today's world against the traditional investment model of the stocks, bullions, and the real estate, I would all want to ask and bring in your notice that I know you all had the lunch and you must be sleep deprived, but I would try to make the session interesting for you all. So before I begin with my technical session and open the first slide for you all, I would want to draw the attention of all the CA professionals and students and bring in your kind notice that you all have been instrumental in driving the economy of this nation. Your community is the most important pillar in any economy of the world. And it is not only today, it's from the known time of the Chanakya, from the Mauryan Empire, 3rd BC, 300 years before the birth of the Christ, to the Guptas in the 4th and 5th centuries, to the kingdoms of down south, Chalukyas, Hoysalas, and the Cheras and Cholas, and to the Islamic sultanates, Mughal kingdom, and the princely states of South India, North India, and lately the British Empire, and the present scenario, the Republic Government of India. So if no one has tell you, let me tell you this, that you all are Chanakyas for your client, and you should feel privileged and proud of yourselves. Can we have a huge round of applause for one and all here and for yourself? This is the first time in India that anybody is presenting this model, or to be precise, this new model of the alternative investment in the CBS. To be precise, coins, banknotes, and stamps in such event, and I believe the legacy will be continued from today onwards. So coming to the first slide, when we speak about the alternate investments, what is the first thing we all get in the mind? What is the first thing, if I can ask you from the audience, if anybody can come up voluntarily and answer me, what is the investment? Yes, sir, please.
See, as I was telling you, it's basically legality. That means, do you have a valid title to the thing? And the next thing which is there is, what happens to it tomorrow? Is there a market available for it? That is a big worry. And this also needs a certain amount of care as opposed to the other kind of things in terms of temperature control and other things, because some of these artifacts could be very old.
Yeah, so basically I get your question that when you see the first slide, the alternative investment, you're doubtful and skeptical that what exactly the alternative art investment means, and are the products authentic here, and will they have a market to explore, to invest, and to exit with the profits? And are there any government regulations attached to it? Yes, I will explain all these things in my entire presentation by chapter. So if you ask me the general definition of the alternative investment, I would suffice it in the very common definition that any investment made in the asset class other than stocks, equities, bonds, and cash is an alternative investment. For example, coins, paper money, stamps, artworks, wines, vintage cars, venture capitalism, all such things. Moving on to my next slide, I will be speaking about the wealth. So what is wealth? Wealth is nothing but your hard-earned money. When your hard-earned money over the period of time it starts earning for you, that becomes the wealth. Why, while I say Marwadis, Gujaratis, and Chettiars, I would want to focus on these three communities. Importantly, during the time of the British Empire, these communities were picked by the Britishers and deposed in the several different colonial geographical region. And they were asked to control the economic regulations, the business regulations of the British Empire back then. But if the wealth which were created by the Marwaris, Gujaratis and Chetiyas during the British Empire, did it sustain? No, it did not. For an example, I will give you, during the time of the World War II, the Chetiyas who were deposed in the Ceylon and the Burma area when Japanese attacked in the Burma, so the Chetiyas were immediately asked by the Japanese troops to immediately leave the Burmese land with only the cash, only the jewelry which can be worn or taken over the body. No bags were allowed. No bags were allowed to take the cash or the jewelry with them. No lands were allowed. No transferable lands were allowed to be transferred under the British monarchy of India. And all the wealth which they were created remained back in the Burma only. So that was the biggest drawback of the wealth which was made by the Chetiyas, and they were failure to carry them back to the India. So such uncertainties may taking place in the today's world also. The three traditional investment vehicles are stocks, bullion and real estate. When we talk about the stocks, the stock market is influenced with the political effects, the coupling effect with the greed. The political effect is nothing but when any leader, any world leader give any statement against the favor or in the favor of any economy or any unwanted actions or reactions, it may bring down the economy or it may bring down in the value of your stocks. The coupling effect is nothing but the recent example of the FANGs, the Facebook, Apple, Netflix and Google. During the time of the month of March, April in the early 2018, we all have seen, because of the scandal of the Cambridge Analytica with the Facebook, $20 billion were wiped away from the Zuckerberg's wealth. And it also brought down the wealth and the overall valuation of the companies like Netflix, Apple, Google, who are the major important players in the today's world. When you talk about the bullion, are they still the safe? No, because we have to be clear upon the purity. We have to be rest assured that how pure they are. With whom are you investing? Are these bought with the trusted dealers or traders? What are the government and the state policies? How much can you hold? How much cannot you hold? What are the other banks and norms you're offering? Like, for example, recently the Reserve Bank of India have this gold bond scheme where you're buying the bonds, but you're actually not holding the physical gold with you. And when we talk about the real estate, it's again the same, the chaotic ownership and the regulatory measures and the high cost of maintenance, the high cost of acquirance of the real estate and again the political factors. If we look into a decade ago, in the 2008, September 15th, when the Lehman Brothers filed for the bankruptcy, it has led to the global market rout, several financial institutions going bankrupt, and a global recession has took place. And it had wiped out $16.4 trillion of net worths of American households and $2 trillion from the American retirement savings. And it also led to the 15 million unemployment. But what did not affect during the Lehman Brothers collapse in the time of 2008 and 2009, it was only the stamps. So the Credit Suisse has done their report, and they have mentioned that stamps, if you have made the investment in the stamps during that particular time or before that, it rose up to 163%. Despite of the global recession, it rose up to the 163% against the economical fell down in the entire world. If you look at this, graph, it is from the Facebook stock crash, what I've recently mentioned. And you all can see that how it was performing in the previous quarter and after the Cambridge Analytica scandal, how it went down and how it subsequently recovered after the Zuckerberg's testimony. And when it came down, you can look the stocks of the other companies, Apple, Netflix, and Google, how their performance was before the Cambridge Analytica could take place, and how it was after the Cambridge Analytica happened in the economy. So we will discuss about that. What is the alternative investment in this CBS, coins, banknotes, and stamps? And what are the international CBS markets, and what are the caveats and challenges we feel in the Indian CBS market? To be very honest, what we follow, we basically follow the Westerners. The IT boom started in the US in the 1970s and the 1980s, where it started in India after the 1985 and grew up in the 1990s and the 2000s. So what we follow the trend which is set by the Westerner countries. And the market of the alternative investment in coins, banknotes, and stamps is very well exposed and practiced by the collectors, investors, and aficionados there in the overseas market. And if you look at this particular graph, it would show you that how the collectibles has performed from the period of 1900 to 2017. And it shows the wine, stamps, violins, art, books, jewelry, cars, and world equities. And you all can see the numbers that how well they were performing over the period of this time. It is very important when we discuss about the portfolio of the CBS. So before coming up to the conclusion that you would want to invest, or you would want to advise your client to explore this opportunity to build up a CBS portfolio, we need to understand few important things. And to make sure you all understand, I would take you to the world of the coins, banknotes, stamps. This is a very important quote by the Peter Lynch when it comes to the collectibles, that know what you own and know why you own it. So there is always a purpose behind the collection, behind an investment. If you are investing in a particular piece, then there's a purpose that why you are investing in it, and why you are holding it, and why you own it. So sorry? Come again? I understand, but the same thing applies for the numismatics, coins, banknotes, and the stamps as well, for this model as well. Because whenever you make any investment, you need to be very sure that why you're investing here.
No, that's okay. But I just wanted to just clarify the background.
No, the Peter Lynch did not give a statement related to this particular model. He gave the statement in terms of the equities. But this is very important to note here, that what you own it, why you own it. So when we talk about numismatics, what is numismatics? Before I take you to the in-depth of the study, what is numismatics? Numismatics is nothing but the study and the scientific analysis of the money which we have been using through the ages. So we all have seen that the rupee coin has kept on changing, the currency bill has kept on changing from time to time. You would have seen the 200 rupees, 2000 rupees, and the new 50 and 10 rupees coming in. And you would have seen all those 1 rupee coin and 2 rupee coin with the different designs. And you will be seeing today that they are smaller in the size, they have the different in the design. So the numismatics is nothing but the study, understanding of the collection of coins or any financial instrument which was traded for any financial activity in any kingdom in the past or in any country in the past. And it is also known as the king of hobbies or the hobby of kings, like the statement goes. Now, when we see the overview of the coins, the oldest coins in the existence today is from around the 6th BC. And even India and also has the particular coin from the same time, which is known as the Gandhara Janpad Shatamana, which is from the 6th BC. And the other were Greeks who also had the coins from the 6th BC. So from the year of 1990s onwards up to 2017, we have seen the growth in the collection and the investment in the particular field of coins as 194%. And there is an average market of $10 million only in the India for the coins. I'm talking about only the coins, not the currency, not the stamps. So look at the amount of the market what the coins hold today, and they have been invested in and collected. When we talk about the banknotes, the paper money came into the existence during the 7th and 8th century in the China, and then later were practiced frequently from 12th century onwards. The current average annual market of the banknotes in the world is 2 billion. And the highest banknote sold by any auction house or the private treaty for a single largest piece is $3.28 million for the single piece. So now you look at the sum involved in one particular banknote. When we overview the coin markets and the history of growth and stability in the last 2 decades, the importance of the coin grading agency, like sir has asked, that how would you come to know that if it is authentic or not, where you're investing the money? That's a very right question anybody would have. So now from last 20 years, we have independent agency, mostly based out of United States, and they have been graded more than 16 million coins. And the single coin, what they've graded, sold in the US auction from the Dr. Lawrence Adam collection in the 2016 was sold for $708 million, single coin of the United States. Now you look at the history of the United States. United States is only 350, 400 years old country. And we, India, are from the 2,600 years. So look at the opportunity, what we have to offer. But since the market is unexplored, there are no rules and regulatories, there are no bodies to look over the particular market. It is still unexplored the way it has to be. And since the 2000, 2001, if we look at the growth in the percentage, so when we talk about the SG 100, it's the top 100 stamps as per the Stanley Gibbons, and when we look at the CI, it's nothing but the Chinese index. The Chinese index show the rise of 375, close to 375 to 380% from 2000 onwards. Only for the basic reason that China has been leading in the economy, and they have the second highest number of the millionaires. And when you have such amount of money, what India is also trailing on the paths of China and US, that are the numbers of millionaires are increasing day by day, and the options of investing are getting limited than the traditionals. So you look at the Chinese index, it has performed immensely well at the 380% from the year 2000. When you talk about the CRI, which is Commonwealth Rarity Index, it has performed over 200% in the year 2000. And when you talk about the Fraser's 100, it is nothing but the memorabilia, autographs, books collected under the wide subject, under the wide umbrella of the coins, stamps, and banknotes. It has also performed above 310 and 315%. And when we talk about the rare coins, it has performed around 115, 125%. It has grown since 2000. So this particular coin is the coin of the William IV from East India Company of the 1835. It's known as 2 mohurs. We also have the 1 mohur. 1 mohur basically was equivalent to 16 silver rupees. So earlier when the coin was, this rupee was termed by Sher Shah Suri, India was so rich that 1 rupee was equivalent to 1 tola of silver. Now today we have the standardization of the 1 rupee coin in the form of steel rupee, but that's not the way it was used to in the earlier days. So when we talk about this particular coin of India, because I have been giving the examples of the markets in the US and the coins in the US, I thought let me put an example for all of you all about the Indian coin. So this is the 2 mohurs of the East India Company, and the William 2 mohurs since the 2005, the way it has performed over the 2018. All the figures are in the Indian rupees. So in the 2005, the estimate value of this particular 2 mohur was around 2,25,000 or 2,50,000. The way it has increased to 375, going up to 6,50,000, then reaching, crossing the benchmark of 7,50,000. In the 2012, it attained the level of 11,25,000, and today it is performing at somewhere 15 lakhs. A particular coin of 23 and odd grams, a gold coin of 23 and odd grams, holding such an important value in terms of investment or in collection. So this could be explored by the professionals here, by their clients, that it is also an opportunity for everyone, because Indian economy is growing day by day. We are getting stronger day by day, and we are minting new millionaires every year. We are minting new millionaires every year. So what are the other derivatives? What are the other portfolios the investment should be diversifying in? This is another great example of the Roman coin from the 2nd, 3rd century of the Septimus Severus. The performance of this particular coin, all the figures are in the sterling pounds. So in the 2002 to 2002A, the 2A is nothing but it is the condition of the coin. So when we talk about the coin, it is, a lot of common sense is required when you invest and when you collect such artifacts or such important pieces. There are different parameters that is it authentic, what is the condition, how many were issued, why do you collect it, what is the demand, how it has been traded in the past 20, 30 years, and all the data. It is not that the data is not available, the data is available. The data is not available of the Indian coins with the Indian market, but for the Indian coins in the overseas market, which has been performing in the overseas auctions or the overseas private treaties, they have been exposed, they have been made public for all the people. And now we see that most of North Americans, most of Europeans coming in and asking in that they want to invest in the Indian CBS model or Indian rarities, because they see that the growth of the Indian CBS and the rise in the many folds in the profits in the Indian CBS will be very, very high, somewhat like China in the coming years. So when we talk about this particular coin, the gold coin, which is of 8 grams of the Roman Empire of the 2nd, 3rd century, you look over the period of 2000, 2002, 6 and 13 and to 2016, it has been performing at 16,875 sterlings and going up to 67,500, presently coming up to again 55,000. And the recent example was sold by an international auction house in US in January 2018 for 75,000 sterling. So you see the growth of the coins, how they have performed over the past few years. And now I will be coming to the philately. It is a very important subject because on the coins, no government or no organization has done a well-versed research in terms of investment. But when we talk about philately, United Kingdom has played an instrumental role always, and we will have some figures from them. So what is philately? To understand philately, I would suffice in the basic definition that study of postage stamps or postal covers or FDCs used for the sending in or receiving in the letters, and collection of that is known as philately. This term, as it is mentioned in the 1864 by a Frenchman, George Herpin, who invented it from the Greek fellows, Tula, Venetilia, anything exempted from tax. And the convergence of the passion, history and wealth creation drives the CBS investor community completely. This is the report of the 2018 by the Credit Suisse, and it says the diamonds are not forever. So now when we look at from top to bottom, you can see the performance of the global equities, wine, and then the third most important factor or the field comes is stamps. And if you come down towards the extreme, you see diamonds are in negative. They have not performed well. And the source, the Credit Suisse Global Investment Returns Yearbook 2018, it says that diamonds are not forever, but whereas in stamps are performing really well and excellent in the past few years. There's a particular stamp of the Gandhi 10 rupees service. And we are again speaking about the numbers in the sterlings. So in the 1983, it was sold for less than 4,000, and then it started getting increased from 2007 to 2009 and 14 and 15. So the last record of the 2015, when it was sold for 120,000 sterling pounds, which is nothing but close to 1 crore. A tiny stamp close to 1 crore. So only few numbers, only less than 75 numbers of these stamps were issued for C. Gopalakrishnacharya. And one particular sheet of the 50 stamps is preserved in the Philately Museum, and few of them, the remaining ones, went into the several collection and been sold over the period of time, and this is how they have performed in the last few years. When when it comes to the investing in the coins, banknotes, stamps, it is always important to have a word of advice and more than that, a common sense. Before you get or you make up your mind that what do you want to invest, where do you want to invest, you should know certain points. You should do a well-versed study that since this field is very, very, very vast. When you talk about the coins, we have the coinages available from 2,600 years till date. And in India, you take an example, the coins are classified into several categories: pre-ancient, then ancient. Ancient is after the death of the Christ, pre-ancient is before the birth of the Christ, then the golden medieval period, then the Islamic sultanates, Islamic Mughals, coming to the princely states, the empires of the Vijayanagar in the down south, coming to the princely states, Mysore, Travancore in the south, and the up Jaipur, Bikaner, Jodhpur, and then lately to the colonies of the European slaves like French India, British India, all such things. So if you tend to invest, if you tend to make up a mind, you want to explore it more, you should have a knowledge. You should, before investing, you should buy the books. You should know that what is the category, what is the specialization you are going to pick it up. What is the one field, because since it is a huge field, what is one country or what is one particular category you would want to invest or focus upon. Because if you diversify too much of your portfolio into the investment, you would end up spending so many lakhs and crores, and again the collection would not be made and the justification to the portfolio will not be done. So the sense of understanding in selecting up the field of the specialization, that what do you want to collect, and the intermediate knowledge, that just the generic knowledge, general history knowledge, that was the coin really issued by the Akbar or Shah Jahan, or for that matters by Guptas or the British Empire. Because I tend to see many people talking about the coins of the 1616, 1717, 1818, with the figures of Hindu deities on the East India Company, which are all false. Because today in this challenging world, every particular commodity has seen the fraud. Even the stocks, bullions, there's nothing less in our business model also. So you have to be very, very assured that with the little historic knowledge, that was it really issued. Because you would be seeing, I see many people coming and asking to me that we have a coin of this particular 1818 with the Hanuman and East India Company on one side, Hanuman at one side. I asked them a question that, have you ever given it a thought? Why would Hanuman come in the East India Company? Was it any necessity of having a Hanuman? And they go with the bad faces that you are answering it in the wrong way. So the proper knowledge should be there. You should gather a knowledge, and then you should choose a trustworthy company or a dealer from whom you are buying, who can give you the right advice where to invest in. Because the market is very small and the market is very big at the same time. When it comes to the numismatics and philately, everybody knows everyone and nobody knows no one. So when you take a call of investing into and making your portfolio, you should be buying from a trustworthy company who has been performing from last 10, 15 and 20 years and have a good repo and reputation in the market. And you should also understand the channels of entering in, that today if you're investing in X amount of money, for example, if you invest 1 lakh, then what will happen to it after 1 month, after 2 months, or after 1 year, or how it has performed. This 1 lakh worth coin, how it was performing 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, or 2 years ago. So there should be proper understanding of the channel and getting into it. And also you should always be well versed that when you want to exit with your portfolio, whom you should contact. Because since it is a niche investment, since it is an alternative art investment, it is nothing like the stocks or equity or the bullion which can be disposed anywhere. No, you have to have a certain amount of people, you have to have a certain amount of dealer, and the proficiency of those dealers, the professionalism of that company, how they advise you and how they help you with the exit options as well. And you should also know that how long you want to hold it. So when we talk in generic, if you invest anything today as a portfolio build-up, it is nothing advisable that you invest anything for 2 years or 3 years. You should be investing for minimum 5 years, then only you will get to know that how the market is performing. So it is nothing like you invest today or you exit out tomorrow. There may be several options available for you investing in, but there will not be several options for you to exiting out immediately after 2-3 months or within a span of 1 year. Now coming to the next slide, when we talk about the Asian bulls, so it is a very important factor today that the economy has been driven extensively by the Asian countries. Predominantly speaking, China, India, Singapore, Taiwan, and Japan, and many more. So when we see the Asian collectors market, so the Asian collectors market make up 1/3 of the 3 billion stamp market only with the Chinese, Indian, and Singaporean market. 1/3 of the entire world market is dominated by these three collectibles, these three countries' collectibles, which are Chinese, Indian, and Singaporean. And when we talk about the future of the investments hold great potential in the rarities. When I talk about the rarities, it is actually a rarity, not just a normal coin. If you want to have a coin of, for example, a 1910 or 1912 or 1890s or 1891, you can buy them at 20% of the bullion value, 20 plus on the bullion value, and you can buy 10, 20, 50, 30 pieces. When we talk about the investment building and the portfolio building, we are talking about only the exclusive pieces, only the rarities of this particular model. And if you ask that what is the time to invest, is today the right time, or should I wait for market and it should be getting more exposed, then let me advise you that yes, the time is now. Because if you see the last 15 years, when China was driving crazy like India in the market, and they were coming out with everything in terms of their electronic technology and how they're ruling all these part of the world with their supplies of goods. So they have invested very well in the 15 years ago. And now the Chinese collectibles are not touchable with a normal investor. When I talk about the normal investor, it depends on the pocket that I'm talking about. An investor who is thinking to invest somewhere around $1 million. No, nothing can be invested in the $1 million in the Chinese market today. But when you talk about India, it is still the unexplored market. It is still the unexplored market against the foreigners. The foreigners are trying to grab the Indian products, the Indian antiquities, coins and stamps, which are available in the overseas market to them. Yes, they cannot buy it from India because we have a law which does not allow us to carry out or export the items of the 100 years old, more than 100 years old, to the other countries. But if they are given the opportunity, whatever is available, so whatever is available in the overseas market, they are trying to get that. And they are the major investors in the Indian coins, Indian banknotes, and Indian stamps. So if you ask that what is the right time, today is the right time. Because this particular field is still unexposed. Before today's session, I think only 10% or 15% of you would have known that this is more than a collection, also as an investment. And what are the benefits of the CBS, coins, banknotes, and stamps? So the major benefits is the portability. They can be easily transported. So if you have a buyer, if you have an agent dealing for you who is trying to mature the deal, so you can get the items moved from, for example, from Bangalore to Bombay, from Bangalore to Delhi. It is very easy to carry. They are like just tiny pieces, just a coin in your pocket, just a stamp in one album or one book. But when you talk about the real estate, when you talk about the stocks and bullions, it has to be transferred in the proper channel way. But whereas this can be easily carried against the real estate market. And when you talk about the other models, the other art models, like investing in the antiquities, the art pieces, the paintings, they carry the big risk. So if for example, a corporate house is having a painting of F.N. Souza, or for example, Gaitonde, Christie's, to give you an example, Christie's in the 2011 sold Gaitonde for 16 crores. So if you are transporting that particular painting from one house to another, any slight damage, any slight cut in packing or unpacking of that particular painting would drastically bring down the value. But in the case of coins, bank and stamp notes, this is not it. You can easily transport, it can come in the book, it can come in your pocket, you can easily move them from one place to another. And The major benefit is knowledge. So building an effective CBS portfolio will give an investor or the agents an exciting insight into the history, that how the dynasties were performing, how the time has evolved, and how the economy has evolved from time to time. From Mughals, it is coming over to the Marathas, to the Britishers taking it over, and then coming to the Republic of India today. So extreme amount of knowledge, immense amount of knowledge you can get from this. Also, there is a health benefit attached to it. This is my personal experience. It is not mentioned in the book or the brochure, what is there in your kit or on the slide, that if you start collecting anything today, or if you have been a collector for a while, then you have a sentiment attached to it. You have stories to tell. So I will give you my example. I was meeting an elderly gentleman in the mid of his 70s. Okay, he lost both the legs in the train accident. He could not walk, but today, he is calling me that you come to Chennai, I need to discuss with you, and the passion is still driving him. He tells me that my kids are studying my kids have studied in US, they are settled in the US, they don't want to come back to India, I have no one to talk to, but what I do in the night when I don't get sleep, I take out my album, I see these stamps I collected, I recall those days of the 90s, 80s, 1990s, when a letter or a call used to come, not the email or the WhatsApp, when a letter or a call used to come, that a dealer used to tell that I have acquired this particular coin or a stamp and you might be interested to come in down, and I used to leave my business, take the next flight or take the next train, go to Calcutta or Bombay, pick the particular coin and bring it back, and I have memories to attach, and this is how I am living up and staying healthy. So this is the greatest advantage, when it comes to the exit option of this particular investment, we at Mardhur Arts, which are more than 50 years old company, it was started by my grandfather, who is still continuing, and continued by my father, and I'm still, now I'm the third generation. I've done my professional degree and taken the keen interest to build this portfolio, to build this field in India the way it is in the US, the way it is functioning in the US or the UK market. So we stand at your promise that we will be a long life partner and be committed to the investors and collectors for resale of their assets if you take any advice, and all such readings you can take. And if you have any questions about that, how do you start and what is the amount required, or can you start with 50,000, can you start with 1 lakh, or do you have to have only 20 lakhs in the pocket, then only you can come. It is a very flexible model, which can even start in 1,000, and when you start building up the portfolio over the 5 years, it becomes a huge portfolio. And you're always free to drop in to our office on the MG Road, and you're always welcome. After the session also, you all have the book where we have mentioned, you all have the brochure from us where we have mentioned and covered the major aspects, since it is the first of its own kind in the country of this particular model anyone would be speaking. We tried to do the best justice to this particular model in bringing in front of you. And you can always take our help, or if you have anything back at your home you would want to analyze that, if you want to sell, or what is the value it holds, or what are the tax regimes attracted to it in terms of short-term, long-term, you can always free to call us and be with us at our office. Thank you. Should you have any questions, I would love to answer. Yes.
Do you hear me?
Yes, very much.
See, this is not more related to the coins or anything specific, but we do have a lot of old companies.
A lot of old?
Companies in India.
Companies.
Which had share certificates which were issued at one point of time.
Yeah, so when I spoke about, please, first.
So those share certificates and old documents which are there are considerably valuable, but nobody really has tried to establish a market for those physical shares or certificates which may even have been cancelled. In the rest of the world, there is a market, and this could be of very specific interest to companies which have existed for more than 200, 300 years.
I understand. I will answer your question. If you go back to one of my slides, I was speaking about the Fraser's 100. So under the Fraser's 100, this particular model of the share certificate, which has been explored and already started in the collection with the Westerners. America has a great community of the collectors of the share certificates, and India is it is still unexplored. So, like you said, yes. The market, see, once we start developing the market, once the session like this keep on taking places at the different cities, when people will get aware that this is something you can invest in, this is worth a value, or this is a worth of value for the company who has issued those shares, who would not know. To give an example, East India Company has been recently bought by an Indian origin businessman. No, half of the people would not know that it has been bought, and it is now selling tea and the gold tokens and the memorabilia of the earlier East India Company. No one would have an idea. East India Company, which has ruled us, which has unified the entire India, the entire 3 presidencies of the India, Bombay, Bengal, and Madras, today has been bought by an Indian and are selling chocolates, tea, and coffee and other artifacts and memorabilia. No one would know. So what you made as an interesting point, that yes, the companies who had issued those certificates would also be interested, but the awareness should come, which is why we thought of having this session. The awareness is there in the Western countries, America especially, European countries you take, there are collectors, there are enormous amount of collectors of the share certificates, but not in India. Soon, very soon, within 2-3 years, I have started collecting myself. I have started investing myself in the share certificates. So very soon in India, next 2-3 years, 5 years, you will see that also a substitute or a part of this model coming up in. Any more questions from the audience? Yes, sir. Can we have a mic, please, in the center? Sir, I will get you the mic, sir. I will get you the mic.
Sir, you are explaining even if it's minimum of 50,000 or 1 lakh or 2 lakh rupees.
Yes.
And in one of the slides you have told 10% buyback after 1 year or so. You are assuring that about 10% return.
Yes.
Is it sure? Is it?
Yes, we are building up.
What is the guarantee and what is the documentary? What is the possession you are going to give it for that?
Yeah. So to start with this,
that 2 lakh, 3 lakhs rupees also can be invested.
Yes, 2 lakh, 3 lakh rupees also can be invested. For that matter, even 10,000 can be invested. You should know where to start and what is it you want to collect. And yes, we at the Mardhur Arts will be held responsible with the buyback guarantee, because in this field, in our country, we want to drive this as one of the strongest portfolio. Many companies are doing it abroad, but no one is doing it in India. So why not let's take this initiative by us. So we have started and we have assured that yes, we will be taking any item which you invest with our advice today at a 10% buyback guarantee, 10% advance buyback guarantee after 1 year. But it can be started 5,000, 10,000 even for that matter. I hope I was able to do the justice to the first ever presentation of its own kind in the country. I take the opportunity to speaking up in the coming forums also, if given a chance. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, sir. Yes, the future of investments hold great potential in rarities, antiques and collectible market. This session was definitely an eye-opener. I'm sure most of us here seated hadn't thought of an investment in the CBS. Thank you for informing us about how we have to make a portfolio in CBS and what are the important checkpoints that we have to keep in mind. Thank you for this very interesting session. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now break for tea. Please reassemble in another 20 minutes for the next technical session.